Yeah, 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 yeah.
Let's make your fucking beats.
I'm about my game. Live by the rules, we don't play the same. That's on my grave, that's on my name. I'm saying, I'm about my paper, about my game. I'm about my game.
What is up, everybody? This is Thomas Christopher here with Brandyn Pokrass. We are live at Daytona Beach in Florida. Technically, we're at the Hula Bowl. It's, as you can see, it's dark. This is a very live show. We also outside. If you can't hear the seagulls and everything else swarming with the wind and the waves, I mean, at least I hope you can. So if there's any lack of issues, I mean, Brandyn looks clear. I look like I'm the ghost of Christmas past right now. So, well, if there's any kind of connection issues, we do truly apologize. After all, we are working on a hotel Wi-Fi at this time. But a lot of big news, obviously, since the show, since last week's show, the transfer portal has officially opened up. There's a lot of very big names that have hit the portal and have found themselves on different teams. Brandyn, I'm gonna lead this to you because I know you've been following a lot. What are some of the key, outside of the biggest quarterbacks, like what are some of the key moves that you make? What teams are impressing you? What players are you surprised with where they've gone in the portal?
I mean, there's a lot to really dive into, right? Like whether you want to look at, Q4, whether you want to look at, group of 5 stuff, there's just a lot of ways to dive into it, right? So I think at the end of the day, it all depends where you want to start. Because I could really start anywhere. Where do you want to start?
I guess for me, it's the very interesting thing that we're seeing with a lot of the USF players following their former coach, Alex Golesh, to Auburn. We've seen a lot of names. I mean, Jeremiah Coger's found himself over there. But I think the most interesting one, especially in the realm of college football, and perhaps for the biggest change in his career, is Byron Brown, who was the quarterback there. Are you surprised that he went to Auburn, and what are your expectations with an offense that's going to really look, I guess, similar personnel-wise to USF last year?
There was an article. Obviously, if you're not subscribed to them on 247, if you want to check out the whole thing, go do that. But Nathan King, the free portion article, Byron Brown talked to him about how it was going to be down between Golesh and Auburn or USF. So I think it really for him boils down to that familiarity. And you look at that familiarity, right? If we go through the transfer portal for USF, Lachlan Hewlett, Jeremiah Coger, Kai Davenport, Christian Neptune, Jonathan Eccles, Corey Pettigrew, Gavin Jenkins. Obviously that's defense, but still,
right.
Keyshawn Singleton has a crystal ball to go there. Chaz Nimrod has a crystal ball to go there. That's a lot of a unit that was really good in the American Conference. And you add that, Cole Skinner was on a visit there, according to his Instagram. Like, I'm not surprised, right? At the end of the day, it's last year. You want to make sure you're in the right situation for you.
Right.
And I'm not surprised that that's the case.
Right.
And I'm not really surprised that a lot of these USF transfers are landing with Auburn. Remember, there's so many things that can go wrong in a transfer portal.
Right.
There's so many things that can pop up where you're like, wait, I actually landed in a spot that I don't like. At least for these kids, they're going to a spot where they know the coach and they know the offensive coordinator and they know a lot of support staff. And it's a new place, but they're getting more money, which they should, and I love that. But they're also not completely stepping outside their comfort zone just yet in terms of their coaching staff, when they don't have to. And there's a bigger conversation with some of the kids that transferred, in my opinion, because, okay, why? Like, for example, a Lachlan Hewlett, a Corey Pettigrew, a Gavin Jenkins, kids that, in a sense, you could argue would have been key contributors for USF this year, deciding to go to Auburn. That's the one where I personally am more intrigued by, those decisions were made.
Yes.
But in terms of the key contributors, I mean, let's not lie and say this is something that's unique to USF. This is happening to a dizzying extent with Oklahoma State. It's happening to a dizzying extent with Arkansas. And maybe not a dizzying extent, but 2 very key pieces. A.J. Hill, the top 10 quarterback that landed in Memphis, and Sutton Smith, both with the Razorbacks now.
Yeah.
Right? Florida, not so much, but they're still targeting some Tulane guys. Like it's a byproduct of what we see in the modern era of college football.
Right.
It's a byproduct of what we're seeing with, honestly, starting with Kurt Signetti. Kurt Signetti taking the JMU squad, putting them in Indiana, and all of a sudden, Indiana is one of the best, if not the best team in college football. So now it's not surprising in a copycat sport like football. And now a lot of these coaches, when they're going to a new place, they're like, hey, let me bring my guys in first.
Yeah, we're seeing it more and more. And if anybody watching right now, please make sure you hit that like button. It's completely free to do so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe. This is a live show, as you guys can clearly see by now. So we are getting to we will get to comments live and answer them on air. If you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on X/Twitter, please make sure to hit that like button as well. It helps increase the viewership, and feel free to comment there as well too, because we will get those comments. And speaking of the transfer portal, we are talking transfer portal. We just finished talking a very interesting dynamic between USF and Auburn, but we also see the opposite end of that spectrum too, where we see guys that are staying. I mean, we've seen Wyatt Sullivan end up staying in a spot with Brian Hartline, and I was of the belief. I'm a little surprised that more players didn't stay with Brian Hartline. I mean, we've talked about this off air, but just the way that Brian Day's offense at Ohio State in that last college football game looked so different when it wasn't Hartline calling the plays. I think that should have spoke volumes to potential prospects, but now we're seeing some of those guys start to make their way over to USF as well. USF is landing a lot of good players as well. Are there any players that specifically going into USF now, or with the potential to do so, that you're looking at?
I mean, ironically, two of the biggest guys I'm looking at are guys that didn't leave. Right? You mentioned Wyatt Sullivan. I think in that offense, he's going to be a phenomenal tight end. I think he's going to take an even bigger step than the step he took this year. Moody Rubin, arguably USF's best wide receiver down the stretch in 2025. You can make an argument he's wide receiver one heading into the year. With his talent level, with the steps he's taken over the years. I think if he's healthy, he's going to be one of the better receivers in the American Conference. And Joshua Porter ends up staying with USF, and he didn't get too much work because USF had a loaded wide receiver room, but made a very impressive touchdown grab against South Carolina State this year, and that is right off the bat. You got those guys. You have Alvin Isaac, who, when healthy once again, is an absolute dynamo out of the backfield. Yeah, that's a great foundation right there. You look through the list of guys that have transferred there. Ironically, it's been a lot more defense. So far.
I've been a little surprised about that, to be honest with you.
But, just going through this list, it's a lot of high upside guys. I think offensively, the one that really pops off the page for me is Armand Branch from Purdue. This is a guy that has all of the talent in the world. He has all of the ability in the world, and he's coming into a situation where there's a lot of targets up for grabs. There's a lot of room to produce. You could say the same for Jerron Glover, who's coming in from Mississippi State. You're getting two guys 6 foot over with great athletic ability and should be able to contribute right away. That's how you fill out a wide receiver, right? That you don't necessarily need to hit on the 5-star or the 4-star. Get guys that can fit a role, fit the scheme, and produce. And when you're losing upwards of 25 guys, including upwards of 15 on the offensive side of the ball, you're not going to fix Rome in one day, especially at a school that is trying to continue its upward trajectory and isn't really at the tippy top yet. And then on defense, I mean, some of these additions they've made on defense are really impressive. Whether you want to look at a CJ Hicks, whether you want to look at in a Sonny Redwood, a Sam Robinson, an athletic freak at linebacker from Rutgers, whether you want to look at a Teddy Foster from Florida, we can just keep rattling off these names. Amon Lane Gannis from Auburn, ironically, really high upside cornerback. There's a lot of guys that they're bringing in on defense, in the trenches, at wideout, that are fitting not only the former P4 mode, but they're very toolsy, they're very athletic, and their upside is very high.
Yeah, it's such an interesting dynamic seeing how an SEC school with a G6 coach is operating from, and now a G6 school with a former P4 coach. I know obviously Hartline was not a head coach, but it's just interesting seeing that dynamic kind of shift out. But moving on, like quarterbacks. I mean, you did a quarterback primer for the transfer portal, and I mean, it can only be described as hectic considering how many players ended up hitting the portal as a quarterback. I mean, we have Anthony Colindra at Nebraska now. It's a great addition for Matt.
Because Kenny Minchie did not go to Nebraska.
Yes.
He committed there and then flipped to Kentucky because Kentucky lost Cutter Boley to Arizona State.
Yeah, it's getting insane.
And also,
how we're seeing this move.
Kenny Minchie goes to Kentucky because Sam Levitt, who everyone thought was going to go to Kentucky, and is most likely going to LSU.
It's so bizarre. So I wanted to ask you, out of all the quarterback changes, I guess we'll call them, because that's the only. I mean, quarterback transfers. Which one is, I guess, your favorite in terms of landing spots so far?
Ooh, that's tough.
Because
it's tough. Out of all of them.
Yeah, because I mean, we're also seeing, and keep in mind too, like we're seeing some guys who have lost, some programs who have lost their quarterbacks. You know, Rutgers lost Athan Kaliak-Manis, who ironically is here at the Hula Bowl, and we're seeing this happening a lot. As you can see, this is a live show. We're just seeing it happen more and more as time goes on, and we see Josh Hoover ended up transferring to Indiana, even though Fernando Mendoza's brother is actually there as well. The lack of courtesy here. Again, live show. So I want to ask you, which one of these players as moving to a new team is your favorite landing spot for some of these transfer quarterbacks?
I mean, I think Josh Hoover at Indiana is a really interesting one. I mean, considering the other additions that they've made, it's really, really interesting how he fits with them, how he's able to really just, build upon what Fernando Mendoza has done so far, right? I think also, Byron Brown, who we mentioned before, right?
Yeah.
I think he can truly elevate that Auburn offense the way USF can. Obviously, I have questions about what that offense looks like in SEC competition versus American Conference competition, but Tennessee's made it work at times, and Tennessee's never really had a quarterback in the mold of a Byron Brown. Now, if I pulling up some of the other quarterbacks, if we're really looking at by position, right?
So, yeah, because there is a lot. I mean,
I really want to get a look at this, because this is just there's a lot of names that I just want to get the best read on and really kind of dive into, like, hey, what is the landscape right now? Because, like, truly, there's so much here.
Yeah.
Right? Who would you say is yours?
Honestly, it's I don't want to take the cheap cop out and say Byram, because I really am interested in seeing Byram Brown at the next P4, at the next level. We're talking, P4, autonomy conference schools. Hoover's a great choice too. I'm very interested to see what Alberto Mendoza, if he's able to take over that spot, or if they end up bringing it to Hoover, who did transfer in from TCU. That one's going to be very fascinating to me as well. But honestly, this may be a cop out too, but I'm actually very interested to see what Drew Mestamaker does at Oklahoma State.
Yes, that is a great one.
Because I mean, obviously Eric Morris goes over there and he's bringing over his guys, and we're always going to hear that conversation of non-autonomy conference players being at the same level as the autonomy conference players, and now we're going to see that firsthand in real time, because Eric Morris is bringing all of his key players that he's bringing to Oklahoma State. We're his key guys at North Texas as well, and a lot of them are very young. So seeing them being able to produce, I think Mestamaker is probably my guy.
I think the most fascinating one to me is one of the highest ranked ones, ironically, is Brandyn Sorsby.
Yeah, that one blanked me. Yeah.
Can he elevate Texas Tech's offense? Can he raise it to a level that Baron Morton simply hasn't? And we could go down the list. Mestamaker is one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic. I really just, like you said, kind of similar to Byron Brown at Auburn.
Right.
what does that offense look like at Oklahoma State?
Right.
Now, he has Caleb Hawkins. He has Wyatt Young. What does it look like in a new conference against a new competition? I trust Morris. I think Morris is a phenomenal offensive play caller.
Yeah. Yeah.
But similar to the USF to Auburn pipeline, it's a lot of North Texas guys at Oklahoma State. So I'm very intrigued to see that. A lot of names that haven't landed yet, specifically DJ Lagway, Dylan Raiola, and Deuce Knight.
Yeah.
I think Rocket Beck to Penn State is an interesting one. I don't know how that scheme's going to work.
It's going to be very interesting to see.
Austin Simmons to Missouri, very interesting. I think Aaron Philo to Florida.
Live show, slight interruption, but it's okay. I'm very curious to see that as well, because Dylan Raiola not committed to a program right now. We have DJ Lagway not committed to a program right now. Deuce Knight, who was supposed to be the guy at Auburn, and I know some Auburn fans think he's dealt with that in a little bit of an immature fashion, but you got to remember he's still a kid. And honestly, if you just promise something at a program, you hate to see that happen. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you could argue the same with Austin Simmons at Ole Miss, who we touched on. I think Missouri is going to be fascinating next year. Because how does that offense look like with Simmons compared to Purdue? And then we start really getting into interesting ones. I mentioned Aaron Philo. That's a quarterback Georgia Tech loved that old offensive group. Now they're at Florida. Cutter Boley. How does that look at Arizona State? I think Kenny Dillingham's a great coach.
Yeah.
But what does it look like compared to Sam Levitt? Lincoln Keyholtz, Caden Hauser.
Yeah. I forgot Caden Hauser to Illinois.
Jaden Craig.
Got the so bag there.
I feel like it's very hard to really finish the group of discussing the quarterback until we have the Raiolas, the Knights, the Lagways, and land in their landing spots. But it's a very interesting group. It really is.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to Wisconsin, because there was a lot of talk about them. They obviously struggled this year, and they brought in a lot of talent. Colton Joseph now is their quarterback, a former Old Dominion quarterback. I think he's really going to take that offense to the next level there, because they have a lot of great young pieces. It's a matter of if they're able to keep going with what Fickell wants that team or that program to go into, the path that they want. It's going to be very fascinating to see how that ends up developing. And then we're seeing, a lot of other skill position players too. Cam Cook is in another area as well. As you can see, la falta de respeto, entonces, that's a little Spanish way, maybe. So, we're seeing Cam Cook go to West Virginia. That's a very fascinating addition for them as well. And then we have, oh my God, I'm going to blank on the Cam Coleman, who I'm hearing teams going out on him, which is, to me, signifies that the price for Cam Coleman stock right now is skyrocketing, and I don't know where he ends up. And then we have 5-star receivers from Ohio State hitting the portal.
And not to cut you off, guys keep entering the portal every
Yeah,
day.
still.
It feels like every single day there's a new guy entering the portal.
Yeah.
And it's a new high-level prospect. Like, you want to run down the list, right, of guys that 247 and on 3 do their best. This is fast and furious. I really don't know how to say it any other way. But it's like, you look at the latest players, right? Bo Masco of Rutgers to Texas. Boom. But now, if you want to look at a guy that just entered, you have a guy, Lane McCoy from Florida State. It was a 4-star out of high school.
Oh,
class 2024, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of guys like these, and
JC French went to Cincinnati.
Yes.
I missed that one completely.
More recent.
That's
but it's at the end of the day, a lot of these guys just want to play.
Right.
Now, there's a combination of guys that want to play, guys that want to get paid, guys that don't like their situations. It's why I think it all comes together, and you have 5,000 players entering the transfer portal, man. Like, it's hectic, it's crazy, and it's fun to look at stuff right now. You're not going to be able to get the full read on where everything had landed until the game of musical chairs stops. Because we could come out right here and say, hey, we think the Byron Brown landing spot or the Drew Mestmaker landing spot or how USF attacked the portal or how we'll get into how FAU's attacking the portal, all of that. 2 hours from now, we could be completely different because a player that nobody expected to enter the portal now enters. Or a landing spot that nobody expected to happens. That's just the name of the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, you saw my surprise when I saw JC French going. By the way, talking about surprises, Ian Strong to the University of California. That is massive. Brown Rivera over there now is the GM I was going to call them the Berkeley Bears. I don't want to do that. They'll get mad at me. Of the California Golden Bears. That was a massive pickup for them. Obviously, Jaren Cave Sangopolatele is a rising star. Obviously, his great true freshman year with Cal, and now he goes into year 2 with a great wide receiver in Ian Strong. That was a massive pickup as well. It's just so fascinating to see how the transfer portal gives and it takes. And one thing to keep in mind for anybody and any fans, it's worth mentioning 45%, between 45 and 55%, based on the positions that they play, of players in the FBS will no longer play FBS football after the transfer portal period. That's just the numbers of it, and it's unfortunate to see. So when you see certain players make a move, you have to question not just if it was them or if they were given bad advice. There's so much that goes into the portal now that you really have to take account into everything. That just goes for the fans who are able to see it and kind of look at things, and it goes for the players as well. If there's any players listening, you have to be able to diagnose what you're doing. Sometimes your agent isn't looking out for you. Sometimes they're looking out for the money, and that can be fine. Sometimes some players have to chase a bag because their potential future might not be the same as a Fernando Mendoza type of player. But at the same time, there's always calculated risks, I guess we'll call it. And it just goes to show that not everything is always greener. For example, the players that we're talking about that followed Alex Golish to Auburn, we saw USF kind of flounder a little bit down the stretch this year. Does that transfer to an SEC level where the guys are bigger, faster, stronger? Who knows? It remains to be seen. But while you guys are watching, please make sure to click that like button. As you can see, this is a live show. Somebody in back of us. Obviously, this is a live show. You can hear them and everything. So I apologize for that. Maybe not, because we got the lav mics in. Actually, they might not even be able to hear them. We might just be hearing ourselves. So live show. If you're watching, click that like button. It's completely free to do so, and it helps just add visibility to the show. If this is a live show, as you guys can very clearly see, so you can leave a comment, and we'll get to the comments. If you do, and if you do it after the show, if you're watching it after, I'll make sure to get back to you between 24 and 48 hours.
There you go. Good job.
Yeah, that was tough to swing out. But obviously, because this is a very live show, we're going to keep it a little bit brief. So probably going to hit like the 30-ish minute mark, and we're going to get out of here. But before we do that, I guess we do got to talk about where we're at right now, which is Daytona Beach. We got
to touch on FAU too.
Oh yeah,
they brought in a lot of guys.
Actually, they have brought in a bunch of P4 guys. Yeah,
you got to touch on everything, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Owls. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Owls Nation. It's this one, right?
Yeah, I think you're doing it. Don't quote me. I'm not an alumni, so it's fine. Yeah. At the end of the day, obviously, We're back.
As we said,
Hello.
very, very live show. We're outside. Outside
This is called Thomas will be editing this a lot later, so that when you watch this, when you like and subscribe to the League Winners YouTube channel, it is going to be very smooth and effective, and you're not going to act like there was a random 2-minute spot where you couldn't see our beautiful faces. So where was I? Oh yes, FAU. Yeah, so there were some players that departed, obviously, like every other school. You know, Assad Wasim lands with the Purdue Boilermakers. Jay-Sean Platt lands with...
Oh, he did sign with...
Okay. Jay-Sean Platt lands with Illinois. Just looking at the I. Always confusing, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, FAU did land some fun players at a few different positions in the course of the first few days of the transfer portal. One I definitely want to highlight is Jamari Powell-Watson. He is a Maryland transfer. I think he is a very high upside wideout for FAU. I think he can easily fill what Platt was for this offense in 2026 and beyond. He has multiple years of eligibility. I think another guy in that mold is a RJ Garcia II, a bit more of a veteran presence, but I think with his speed, his route running that he's shown on film at Bowling Green, I think he can easily step in and fill maybe not exactly to what Assad Wasim was, but very, very close and really help FAU continue to roll on offense like they want to. You know, they got Easton Messer back. They got Kid Belton back. And that's not even getting through all the players. These recruiting sites lag a little bit in terms of updating. So if we look at the FAU Twitter page, they've added Bo Simpson Neely, who is a Western Carolina cornerback transfer. They've added Jay Crable, an edge rusher, formerly of Ohio University. If we keep going down the list, we've got Corey Clark, who is a defensive lineman, formerly of Mississippi State. After him, we have Tyson Rooks, who is a cornerback formerly of Illinois. Following him, we have Jonathan Bax, who is a TCU linebacker / edge rusher. Keep going on from there. We have Drew Deviler, very interesting player to me. Great size, formerly a quarterback for the Rice Owls. I think he's a great, whether you want to call it developmental, whether you want to call it guy that can step in after Velkamp leaves or at least compete. I think it's a great addition to have, especially with some of the quarterbacks leaving that room after the season. And continue, Kelby Valson, formerly of Texas Tech University, lands with FAU.
We get a lot of P4s, man.
I'm a fan of him. He has a huge upside coming from the Red Raiders. I think he can easily step in and produce if necessary for the Owls. And you know, there's a few more guys. Nate Fisher might be one of my favorites. He was an AP FCS All-American. He's a linebacker. With the departure of Tyler Stolsky, that is a huge addition for FAU. I think he can slide right in and do what Stolsky did, maybe even better, considering his range and just overall skill set might be a bit different than Stolsky.
Right.
You know, we could touch on every single one, but I think from an overall perspective, I like how FAU's attacking the portal. Ironically, it's very similar to the approach their conference mate USF has taken, where yes, they're going to target the high upside potential in terms of your P4 guys that are coming from there that maybe didn't have the opportunity right off the bat. I also like how they're targeting, and even outside of the guys they just signed, right? Kenyon Garner was a guy that was being targeted by Texas Tech, FAU Lansing. He's going to be, honestly, I would argue that he should be starting right away at edge for the Owls, right? Leonard Farrow, running back, huge production. He's going to be on the field right away for FAU. They're pairing the P4 targets with the high floor of your D2s, your FCS players. And we spoke about this, maybe not necessarily on air, maybe on air once. I think we spoke about it with Robbie Lasella on air.
I think so, yeah.
In this day and age college football, teams that aren't the tippy top are going to have to pair high upside with guys that produce the other levels.
Yeah, 100%. And something, I mean, it's honestly something that Coach Kitley said he was going to do. And credit to him, he's doing it, and he's doing it
and
well.
And they're not done. And nobody's done yet. And
right.
I'll also bring up FIU. They did land their first official commit today. If I pull up the name, because it is not on 247 yet.
247 does
as most of these things
selectively updates with time.
It happens. They get everything in there eventually. FIU added a cornerback in the form of Ryan Gadsden. He's a transfer from Lafayette and was an all-conference selection. Obviously, like every other school, expect more additions, expect more players to fill the ranks, expect more guys to leave schools. It's just the nature of the transfer portal. And now, it's time to talk a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you guys can see, very, very live show. Very live show. So we're here at the Hilton Resort on Daytona Beach. We're literally, I would say throwing a stone and hitting the ocean is a little too much, but give me 100 yards and then I'll be able to hit it. So great time. The weather obviously is very nice. It could be, I mean, it beats being in upstate New York for me personally. So I'm not too upset with it, but for anybody who doesn't know, the 2026 Hula Bowl is in effect. The first practice actually occurred today. Jay Gruden, the Gruden brothers, Jay and John, are both head coaches. They do have a litany of other former NFL coaches on their staff as well. And there's a lot of excellent players that are on the roster. I mean, I want to give a shout out to Derek Robinson from Monmouth, an FCS guy who ended up making it. We have the Retzlaff brothers and Jake and Reggie. I know some people might not even know Jake had a brother, but Reggie Ratzlaff, who ended up Retzlaff. By this point, you guys know I'm horrible with names, so we're just gonna keep on. Exactly, we're just gonna keep on trucking through. Retzlaff. That's a Retzlaff, didn't I? I said Retzlaff. Yeah. Retzlaff. I apologize, Jake and Reggie. But yeah, he's from Colorado State University of Pueblo, and he was fantastic. Both him and his brother were fantastic at Riverside Community College, where they broke records for the respective school. As you guys know, Jake ended up going P4 and then going to the G6. Reggie, unfortunately, he wasn't able to get that. And then we have AJ Pena from Rhode Island. He's an edge rusher. He's another guy. Trying to highlight some underrated people that you guys may not necessarily know about, because the Hula Bowl you're not going to see a lot of first round guys at the Hula Bowl. Camden Brown from Georgia Southern is here. Desmond Reed from Pitt is probably the biggest name that I think most people will know. Athan Kaliak-Manis as well. I think would probably the two biggest outside of the Retzlaff brothers. We have Eric O'Neill, former James Madison and Rutgers defensive end, is here as well. Deuce Chestnut from Syracuse, as well as Dan Villari. There's a lot of really excellent talent here, and they also have some international players from Asia that are actually in this. So that's very fascinating to see. We'll keep you guys posted on what we can. First practice, there was some uniform malfunctions, I guess, where some of the programs weren't able to get their players their respective helmets and pads. So they ended up going padless in the first practice. So it was a lot of walkthrough stuff. So that's probably why you didn't see much content out of us today. But we'll see today. And if you're listening for audio only, it'll be yesterday.
Tuesday. That's why I didn't see much content on Tuesday. And there we go. And to expand on Thomas's point, Ethan Kaliak-Manis, that's a quarterback I'm personally watching a lot of.
Yeah.
I think that, obviously not in the round 1, round 2 talk, but I think mid-round quarterback, the way he attacks defenses, his willingness to throw deep down the middle of the field, just in the middle of the field, something not a lot of guys have, and I think he'll be a very high floor guy that teams are very interested in.
Yeah.
They got the wide receiver position too, another name to highlight, E.J. Horton.
Yeah, former FAU
and Purdue.
Yeah.
He was, obviously no pads today, but he was moving like one of the best wide receivers on my side of the field.
Yeah.
Just the smoothness, the route running, it's all there. Obviously, game tape provides a huge insight into this. Obviously, padded practices, but for a first day where you can't really get a ton out of anything, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, and for any other quarterback people out there who are wondering about, because this is I guess we'll call it a weekish quarterback class, depending on who ends up declaring, because Dante Moore could end up declaring a couple other guys, and it could completely change how this draft is seen. But Jalen Kidna is also here from UAB, as well as Kyron Drones from Virginia Tech. Whether or not these guys help the draft stock and get themselves to another All-Star game, who knows? Because there's quite a few more after this. The CGS All-Star game actually starts on the 9th, and then we have the newly American, and then, of course, as everybody else usually knows, the Shrine and the Senior Bowl. But like I said, this is a very live show, and we're outside in the elements dealing with a couple of drunks in the background. We're gonna probably get up out of here fairly soon. But Brandon, before we get out of here, is there anything else you wanted to touch up on?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this event plays out. Right, there's a lot of really interesting players. There's some linebackers and secondary players we didn't even get a chance to touch on, but that's stuff you more so get a read on in the padded practices.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I'm very interested to see who are the gems that stick out, because this is a game that over the past few years, whether it be a Ja'Cory Cross-Canary, whether it be a Brady Cook, guys varying success at the NFL level, but they've made it to the NFL level.
Right.
And I'm really interested to see who are going to be the guys that not only catch our eyes, but catch the scouts' eyes,
Right.
and really become the first draft gems in this 2026 class. Because that's the thing. This is the start of the draft process,
Yes.
which is weird to say because the transfer portal for next season is going on, and the regular college football season isn't
still
over yet.
going on.
That's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
About the schedule.
Yeah.
But this is truly the start of the draft season, right?
Yeah.
The Shrine Bowl is not that far away. The American Bowl is next week, and that has a lot of players at it as well.
Right.
The Senior Bowl is not that far away. So you take that all into account, we're off and running. This is the first step, and I'm really interested to see who are going to be the standouts for me when we're talking on this show next Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I completely forgot to mention Jacob Thomas too from James Madison is here. There's a lot of surprising players here. There's a lot of very underrated players here too. And as Brandon alluded to, this is the first part of the process for the 2026 NFL draft and the season that goes along with it. So it's going to be very fascinating. We'll have live updates for you guys throughout the process leading up into the game. So make sure you guys stay tuned. And I'm going to lead that with Brandon. Let them know where they can find you out on your social media.
You know where to find me? BPOC24 on Twitter, on Instagram. You can find me also on Blue Sky at Brandyn-Pokrass, TikTok, if you're into that type of thing. And yeah, excited to keep this thing rolling. We'll catch you guys very, very soon.
And as you guys know, I'm Tommy's CFB, maybe for now. That's for another time. But you can follow us at League Winners CF for college football. We might have our main account back soon, so fingers crossed on that one. And also you can find our media content at the League Winners on Instagram. So until next time, it was great catching up with you guys, and stay tuned for great content.